The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.
Hello, Cherries fans, and welcome back to Up the Cherries in all departments. And welcome to a very special show where we're covering off AFC Bournemouth's 1981-82 promotion. And to do that with me, I've got Paul from Oz. Hello, Paul. How are you doing? Great to have you back.
Yeah, good, Matt. I'm so pleased to be talking about this subject, mate. It's one that I feel has been neglected. It's gone under the radar, and you don't see much about it on YouTube or anywhere. You don't see much about it at all, but it was a true achievement. I mean, we all do shows, you guys do shows about Harry Redknapp, Eddie Howe and Andoni, and they were brilliant managers, as was John Bond. But this guy, when he came in, he really lifted the club, David Webb, and I was there, was a season ticket holder, and I definitely, thinking back, a long time ago, 43 years ago, I went to every game of that season and witnessed that promotion, and it was worth it. It was good. It was good fun. It was good fun. Lifted the club.
Yeah, and like you say, it's something that doesn't get covered off a lot, isn't it?
Oh, I haven't seen much about it at all, to be honest. But it all sort of started just slightly prior to David Webb, I think, with Alec Stock. Alec Stock. Yeah, I mean, it's a name that I've heard my dad mention, Alec Stock. But yeah, it was said that Alec Stock brought back a dignity and pride to Dean Court. It is said that both Bobby Moore and Rodney Marsh, which I didn't know this, were in consideration as they wanted to break through into management. But the club decided to go with the highly respected and experienced Stock. So at the time, both Bobby Moore and Rodney Marsh were linked to the job, which I thought was fascinating. His first game in charge was a 7-1 win against Doncaster, which is what you want to touch on, Paul, isn't it? Yeah, mate. And as I say, I was actually there for that game. And it was one of those games where everything Bournemouth hit went in the net. It was just incredible. Because prior to Alec Stock arriving, we were in a bit of a slump. You can tell we were, because the gate for that game, the attendance was 4,000 approximately. It was a cold day. I looked it up on the internet. It was a cold day there. I remember it being horrible. But to come away from that game, and they just played brilliant. I don't know what it was he said to them or did with them, but they just had a brilliant game. I mean, Alec Stock, you hear things about Alec Stock. I think he had the experience, and my friend Dave said to me that he was a similar manager to Roy Hodgson. You know what I mean? He was a gentleman, old school, 62 years of age when he took over the job at Bournemouth, but a nice guy, and he signed some good players. He brought a few good players in to help David Webb in the long run. He didn't know he was helping him. He got Eddie Kelly, I think he got him from Arsenal. And John Emerson, I remember that guy. He was a good player too, but he'd had a big career when he'd managed Yeovil,
Fulham, QPR, quite a few clubs before he came in, and he did the job. He actually ended up, they were going to put him upstairs as a director. I'm not sure whether he was a director for a short time or what, but then he left the club and in came David Webb. We might perhaps talk about David.
Yeah, I mean, what I did find, Paul, was that basically Alex Stock brought David Webb onto the playing staff as player coach with the intention in the future for David Webb to take over. But it happened a lot quicker than Alex Stock imagined it would, and Alex Stock was then elevated to board level, where he stayed on the board for a period of time. So yeah. Another interesting fact about Alex Stock. Now I don't know 100%, but if anybody remembers the Fast Show, I don't know whether you'd seen it in Oz. The Fast Show. It was a comedy in the sort of mid-90s.
Nah, didn't see it.
Whitehouse. Well, for those watching that know it, there's a character that Paul Whitehouse created, and they used to do like a little match of the day type sketch thing. And the Paul Whitehouse character was called Ron Manager, who he based on Alex Stock.
Was he? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think they did Saint and Greavesy, didn't he, as well, on that show? Did he do something Saint and Greavesy?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Saint and Greavesy.
I know the name. I know the name of the guy. And what you said about David Webb, because I saw him play he was a good player. He played at right back. David Webb, he was lively when he came in and played. You wouldn't get much past that bloke in defence. I think he played 11 games for Bournemouth. He was solid. David Webb was solid.
I mean, I suppose you would be solid as well, I suppose, if you played some of your career alongside the likes of Chopper Harris and players like that, the old Chelsea.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I always remember seeing footage of that FA Cup final. Was it actually the replay when they played Leeds and they were just literally kicking lumps out of each other? Yeah. Honestly, when you watch that, I mean, anybody that hasn't seen that, you must watch that and just look at and compare it to today's game, because it's just from a completely different world, completely different. But yeah, now you've mentioned, Dave Webb, obviously, his playing career. He actually started out at West Ham, which we'll touch on a little bit more about that very shortly. But he played for Orient, Saints, Chelsea, QPR, Leicester City, Derby County, and obviously, like you say, he made the 11, 12 appearances for Bournemouth. When he came in as player coach. FA Cup winner, also won the Cup Winners' Cup as well, and was also player manager at Torquay, and managed Southend, Chelsea, Brentford, and Yeovil. So, and he's now coaching out in the States, I believe.
Well, you know what? One website said he was there. He's now 79. 79. It says here, at present, he's the first team coach for the Georgian national team. So he's managing Georgia. That's what I read. Now, whether that's happening or not, I'm not sure. Maybe that's internet nonsense. I don't know.
I know there is two people called David Webb as well. One is a coach that never really had a playing career, I don't think.
No, that would be right.
Let me just quickly try and confirm that for you, Paul.
Yeah.
Because I nearly made the same mistake. I was reading something, and so David Webb.
Yeah, I think you might be right, Matt, with that. I did read he was in America. Yeah, you might be right too.
Yeah, I can't find anything to back that one up, but I know there's a couple of David Webbs, but either way, I mean, he completely changed Bournemouth, didn't he? He really uplifted the club.
Well, when he arrived, he did. It went down well with the fans. They loved the fact that he was going to be the manager. He was very upbeat, exciting, and he knew his football. He didn't come in ignorant. He knows the game. David Webb knew the game, mate. And you could tell he was in charge. He wasn't going to take any mucking about from players. As I say, I was lucky enough at that time to be a season ticket holder and watched every game. I never went to any away games, but it did. The town came alive with him on there. Yeah, he was very flamboyant as well. I mean, he made 230 appearances for Chelsea.
Wow.
Stuart Morgan brought him in. Stuart was a scout, and he ended up scouting for Harry Redknapp as well from non-league teams. But Stuart Morgan had a say in getting David Webb to the club, and obviously then David brought Harry Redknapp back. But I think you might be right about USA, mate. I think you're spot on with that. Yeah, I think so. He actually what I did find with him was when he was coaching at Crystal Palace, he actually discovered Wilfred Zaha. So he picked him and said this is a good player and brought him forward, brought on Wilfred Zaha, which was interesting. So a good bloke for sure. As I say, he brought the club out of murky times. And of course, Jim Davidson was there on the board.
We'll touch on him.
And I actually spoke to Jim Davidson at the bar. He was trying to get a drink, and he spoke to me. He just said to me, he said, "Oh, how'd you get a drink in this place?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I should have let him go first, shouldn't I?" I said, "I don't know, mate." And there you are. Yeah, director. Good lad. He's a nice chap. Director for a while, and was asked to raise the profile of the club. He was good, very keen, did a good job, mate. Just fun. It was a fun time, Matt. It was a fun time, and it was needed at the club because we were coming out of the doldrums, post John Bond era. But nice chap, both of them, great guys. Yeah, great guys.
Yeah. Did you meet him in a bar? Did you say? Sorry.
Yeah, I met him in the old days at Bournemouth. The main stand. Underneath, I was in the main stand there. You go down, and one half, I think it was on the left, was the bar, and on the right was coffee and pies. And I must have been getting a beer, and he came up behind me and started talking to me. Yeah, just a very nice, ordinary guy, top bloke, Dave. I can't speak highly enough of him. Good lad. Yeah.
I think he made his grand entrance by a chopper landed on the centre circle, wasn't it, or something like that?
Did he? I mean, that was what was going on. It was great. It was great fun. It was a great time to be at the club, Matt, with the pair of them. Really, really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, some great stories there. I mean, when I've done some obviously research just to try and gain a bit of knowledge myself, obviously from that era, and I read that he landed there on the centre circle, in a chopper and all that, and I just thought, yeah, that's just must have been like. Yeah, something that people had never seen at Dean Court before at that time.
You're right. It was a different time. It was, as I say, prior to that, Alec Stock did lift us up a bit there, and stabilised the ship. But when those two came along, it was a completely different ball game. I mean, we used to be on actually on TVS, on the TV. Bournemouth actually used to get on there, and they'd interview Jim Davidson. I don't remember seeing David Webb interviewed on there, but I remember coming out of the last game against Hereford on the way home and down Holderness Road, and the cars were bipping, and there was flags and scarves hanging out of windows when they got promoted. I remember that very clearly. That game would have definitely been on a Saturday, and people were happy. It made people happy, which was great, and it was good football. They were a very fluent team. This team.
Yeah, I've seen glimpses of footage and that, and some great players, which we'll touch on the squad shortly. But just before we touch on the squad, Paul, I just wanted to bring this one up. So obviously, there's a Webb and Redknapp connection. So Webb and Redknapp, they were both at West Ham. Now Redknapp was in the youth. While Webb was a year older and in the reserves, but Webb moved on to Leyton Orient in 1963. But while at the Hammers, the pair didn't really come into contact. In fact, it was a communication between Stuart Morgan and Webb that landed Harry the coaching job. Webb contacted Morgan and asked him to share his thoughts on Harry, and Stuart Morgan spoke very highly of him and told Webb that Harry knew the club inside out, which, as we all know, Harry does. So that sold it to Webb, and in June he contacted Redknapp and invited him to help with pre-season training. It was a great opportunity for Redknapp to get back into the game, and once appointed, he made a quick impact by taking the training sessions and supporting both Webb, and here's a name that everybody will remember, John Captain Kirk. Now, so Redknapp got back in at the club, obviously assisted Webby, but John Captain Kirk is quite a famous name from the past, isn't it?
Yep, he was a trainer at Bournemouth for years, and I think he was back with the club even in the 60s. John Kirk. I remember my dad used to talk about him, and he'd do anything at the club. He'd make the tea. As I say, it's a long time ago, but my memory of him, my dad used to say he'd do anything, for the club. He was 100% Bournemouth man, John Kirk. And he just got that nickname, Captain Kirk, Star Trek.
Yeah. I think he was still at the club during Pulis's era. I think
probably was, man.
And I think he'd done every role. I think he even did physio at one point. I think he'd done everything at the club, didn't he? But just when I was researching this, obviously to see John Captain Kirk's name again was brought a smile to my face, I must admit. But
I mean, you know what, Matt? Just before we leave that, those three, Jim Davidson, David Webb, and Harry Redknapp, were a lethal combination because they were all characters in their own right. We know what Harry's all about. He's a character in his own right, Harry, isn't he?
Yeah.
And
definitely.
David Webb was similar, and of course Jim Davidson was a comedian at that point, and he was on TV, and it was just a great time. It was a great time.
I think Jim would have been making a comedy series around that time, which I think was called, I don't know if you'll remember this, Paul, you might not, but I think it was called Round the Castle and Up the Elephant or something like that.
Up the Elephant and Castle, that was a pub. I think it was a pub in London. I mean, he was a Charlton supporter.
Yes.
Jim Davidson. And great guy, put the mileage in for Bournemouth when he was there. He did. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But before we go on and look at the squad, and we're going to just quickly touch on the kits of the year as well. I just thought this was quite a fascinating point to make. Obviously, we're going back to the early 80s here, Paul, aren't we, with the 81-82 season? And the price of a season ticket was less than £45. The price of pay on the gate was less than £2.55. The match day programme would set you back a grand total of 40p. The average price of a pie was 75p, and you could join the supporters club and enjoy a pint for 61p. Wow. The average price of a football shirt back in 1981-82 season was £13.50. Now, I just thought that sort of put, just for me, I was like, wow, I know obviously inflation and how things works and blah, 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 but when you look at that, geez, if football shirts were that amount these days, Paul, I would have saved a hell of a lot of money anyway.
So how much do they cost you now, Matt? How much is a Bournemouth shirt now? Ish.
You're looking at, what was they last season? 65, were they?
65 quid.
65, 60, 65 last season. So, So, I just thought that was nice to just touch on the prices of the era there. But I mean, let's just have a look at the fashion of the era as well. Now, here we go. I just pop the kits up on the screen now. Obviously, a home and away shirt. No third strip required back then. But I think at times we did have to introduce a third strip because of colour clashes. But that season, played at home in all red, with the famous Reg Haynes Toyota sponsor on the front. And to be honest with you, I would love a retro version to be produced of the away shirt, because I think that looks absolutely lovely. But just to show everybody, I do have the replica of the home shirt. It's a little bit tight, so I won't stand up for long, but there is the
the
Right.
retro one, which was produced by Scoredraw, I think, sort of about 4 or 5 years ago. But yeah, football kit's totally different back then, Paul, than they are now. But yeah, they were quite sharp dressed men, as they say, back in those days. Nice, plain, simple kit, and obviously the badge was different as well, wasn't it? We didn't have the traditional Dixon Dorset head.
Oh,
Um,
that's right.
it was
Yeah.
like as what's on your shirt there. Obviously, is the badge that everyone now familiarises Bournemouth with. We had the sort of the what was it they called it, the Cherry Bees badge, was it, or something like that?
It kept changing all the time, Matt. I couldn't keep up with it. I wouldn't be able to
Yeah,
keep up with it. I think Reg Haynes, I think he had his garage in Boscombe. I'm not sure. I think he had a sales showroom in Boscombe on Christchurch Road or around the corner, Palmerston Road or somewhere around there.
yeah. I'd have to find out that one for you, Paul, because
Yeah.
actually I think my dad's partner worked for Reg Haynes
Did
Toyota
he?
back in the early '80s.
I
So
could be wrong. It's a long time ago. But,
I'll ask the question for you. I'll let you know.
yeah,
But
thanks. Yeah,
one game, obviously the game you were at, the televised game when
yeah.
against Hereford. For that game that season, the sponsorship had to be covered up. So a white stripe was introduced across the chest to cover up the sponsor while the game was televised live. So, yeah, not too sure why that was. I'm sure there's some sort of, at the time, some regulation that sponsors couldn't be shown, or for whatever reason, I'm not too sure. But if anybody does know the reason why, drop it in the comments. But
Mm.
yeah, so there's actually one of the original shirts, match worn shirts there by the looks of it from that era. So
Yeah.
yeah, for the televised game, the sponsors had to be covered up. But Paul, back over to you now. Let's start to have a look at the squad. Now, let's start obviously in between the sticks with two very good goalkeepers from what I've researched.
Oh, yeah. Ian Lee was the shorter of the two, but very, very capable in goal. And Kenny Allen had been at the club for a while. He ended up staying after David Webb went as well. You couldn't toss a coin again between them. You know, they both do a great job. John Smolders, from memory, was more of a shot stopper, but Kenny Allen, he could catch crosses, you know, from corner. He could command his area. The one was as good as another, from my memory. But John Smolders, he's another great keeper, John Smolders. Ian Lee was the shorter of the two. Both very capable in goal, for sure.
So can you remember which one out of the two played the most games that season?
I'm pretty sure it'd be Ian Lee. I think
Right.
it would be Ian Lee, yeah. I can have a look if you've got a moment. You keep talking, Maddie, and I'll just
Yeah,
have a
that's
look.
fine. It'd just be interesting to see.
Yeah,
'Cause
I've got it
obviously,
here.
I know both the names, like you say, Ian Lee and Kenny Allen both stayed on after David Webb had obviously moved on. So I was just wondering which one out of the two was kind of the
Uh,
number one choice.
I think that's confirmed it because Ian Lee made a total of 123 appearances for Bournemouth,
Right, okay.
and he signed from Swaithling.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's probably Stuart Morgan would have had a hand in picking him up, and I think Kenny Allen. I don't think he would have played that many, not 123 times, but I'll just see if I can find him here 1 minute. If I can't, it doesn't matter. There you go. Look at that. Kenny Allen, 152 appearances, 1978 to 83.
Ah,
So again, there wasn't much in it, was there?
no.
No.
Well-
That season, I think Ian Lee may have played more that particular season. They got promoted.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the keepers. Let's have a look at the defenders. Let's start with these guys. So Phil Brignall, Paul Compton, and John Impey. John Impey was, I think, at an event I went to celebrate 100 years of being in the Football League. I think John Impey was there, actually. But yeah, three names that have quite well remembered from that era, Paul.
Oh, very much. I met John Impey. I've spoken to John Impey a few times, and it was funny because he said to me, I was talking about Derek Dawkins, who also played, black guy, who also played in defence, and I said to Derek Dawkins, I thought, you had a great game, Derek. He said, oh, thanks, mate. And then John Impey interrupted and said, how did I go? He so keen, such enthusiasm. I said, you played great. I think he was captain. John Impey was captain of the team. But those three players there, they were all really, really good players, mate. Phil Brignall, very consistent, great defender. Paul Compton, the same, tall. Paul Compton was a big lad. And John Impey, they were good players. All three of them. Top players, mate.
Excellent. Well, let's have a look at a few more. Obviously, David Webb was part of the playing squad. We've obviously touched on David Webb, but a name there that you just mentioned as well, Derek Dawkins and Brian O'Donnell as well.
Yep. Derek Dawkins, how could I describe him? He was a right back, and he was very gangly, legs everywhere and arms everywhere, very fast. Top man, top player. As I say, the day that I met Derek Dawkins and John Impey, I said to Derek he'd had a great game, and then John said, how did I play? So they must have been playing well. Brian O'Donnell, look at the stand behind that picture, Matt. There's hardly anybody in it.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Now you say it, you can see the formations of the chairs, but I think that's when he was playing for Bristol Rovers, I think.
Oh, was it? Okay, fair. Yeah, of course, you see the shirt now.
It was with the internet, it's tricky to find as many, pictures of players back in the yesterday year. So that was the only one I could find of Bro. I could find recent ones, more recent photos of him, but in terms of his playing career, that was the only one I could find, unfortunately.
Yeah, he didn't play every game, Brian O'Donnell. I remember him as a midfielder, but he was there or thereabouts. He was in the squad, that is for sure. I'm just looking on there if I can. Oh yeah, Brian O'Donnell, midfielder, 14 appearances, no goals. Went on to manage the Bournemouth Poppies.
Ah, right. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple more, I think. Yes. There's one name there that fondly sticks out in Cherries fans' memories, which is Tommy Heffernan, which was a player that my dad always fondly remembered. Chris Sully as well, Paul.
Yeah.
Like I say, Tommy very sort of sticks in my mind because I do remember my dad talking about him quite a lot. But
yeah, very fit Tommy Heffernan, hard player. He played right back. Chris Sully played left back. Tom Heffernan, I can remember one game, there was some poor, and it was, you know how close the fans are to the pitch. And I remember Tommy coming over in one game. He didn't mean to do this. He cleared the ball and it hit this little kid straight in the face and smashed his glasses. And poor Tom, he didn't know where to put himself. He obviously didn't mean to do it. He was so apologetic. It was always sticks in my mind. I couldn't tell you what game it was or when it was, but he could hit a ball. Tommy Heffernan could hit a ball.
Yeah.
As I think there's been a fair bit spoken about Tommy Heffernan. He's a hard player. Chris Sully, good left back, solid player. He was he wasn't a tall player, Chris Sully, but very reliable at left back. Here we go, 206 appearances for Bournemouth he had, 3 goals. He got transferred to Dundee, then Blackburn.
Yeah, I think that's where he's pictured there is at Blackburn.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right,
Yeah.
Good player.
Good player. Yeah, it's great to hear about these players, that I didn't get the privilege to watch. But let's move on to the midfielders. Here's a few for you. So, I'll let you go through each one, Paul. Yeah,
look, Kevin Daughtry was a attacking right side player. He was a smaller guy, but he could turn a player. This guy, he'll turn a player and take off, and he's gone very fast. I'm just trying to find a few stats about him here. I've got him here somewhere. Hang on. Good lad he was. Hang on. Sorry, mate. Give me a moment. Milton Graham. We could move on to Milton Graham. I might come back to.
Milton Graham will always be remembered for scoring the goals one of the goals against Man United in the cup that time.
You bet. Yeah, that They were Milton Graham scored that. He was a left winger.
Yeah.
He did play against Man United. He played 73 times. Milton Graham for Bournemouth with 12 goals, and in that famous game in January '84, he scored. And Ron Atkinson, I can remember it being reported in the Echo. He was absolutely fuming. I was there. I was at that game. He was absolutely fuming, and he kept the Man United players in the dressing room, telling them off for an hour. He wouldn't let them go in there. So I don't know what on earth he was saying to him, having a good yell at them probably, but he was totally embarrassed by Atkinson. Because, he was a bit of a manager. He was a bit of a lad too, Ron Atkinson. But, great day for Bournemouth. That was national, back pages of the News of the World, Sunday Mirror, the whole lot, when Bournemouth did that. Kevin Daughtry, I can just see that. I know he was a right winger, and I'm struggling to find my notes on him, to be honest, but let's have a look. No. I think we'll have to leave it at that. A reliable right winger, mate. Yeah, good lad. Yeah.
And Eddie Kelly as well, I think, who had a career at Arsenal, didn't he?
He did, and you know what? He wasn't. He came to Bournemouth. He wasn't over the hill. He was still a good player, and I think Alec Stock, as we were saying earlier, might have had a hand in getting him to the club. Let's have a look. As you can appreciate, there's so many players in that squad.
Oh yeah. I mean, some good players as well, isn't there?
Oh yeah, Eddie Kelly, great. There's another guy called Ian Smith. I think it was Brian Smith. Him and Brian Smith in the midfield. Oof, classy. I remember Brian Smith that will come up later playing in that 7-1 win. But good. They were good players, without a doubt. Great players. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Then there's a few more as well. There's Brian Smith, who I think might have been captain for a little while. Nigel Spackman. Obviously, we all know about the career Nigel went on to have in the game. He had a really good career. Played for Liverpool, didn't he, Nigel Spackman?
He did.
And Keith Williams as well, who eventually became part of Harry's coaching staff. So another 3 midfielders there. Any facts on those ones?
Sure. Yep. Give me a moment. As I say, there's a lot of players here to cover. Personal memories, Brian Smith, very small. I'd say probably 5'7", 5'8", but what a player. Brilliant player. You'd want him in your team. You'd want Brian Smith in. I don't think he's with us anymore. I think he's gone. I think he might be passed away. I hope I'm right on that. Him and Eddie Kelly were brilliant. Keith Williams, played in midfield from 81 to 87. So he stayed 6 years and he played 102 games for Bournemouth. Keith Williams. So.
Right. Okay. But there's some more because obviously there's quite a few midfielders. I think. Oh no, one more. Sorry, Paul Edmonds. There's a name that I didn't know too much about, Paul. In all fairness, but.
Well, as you say, midfielder, but he was 14 appearances and 2 goals, and he came from Leicester City. Again, he was a squad player. I think he would have been more of a squad player. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to the strikers and the forwards. Obviously, there's Tony Funnell mentioned there and Charlie George. We'll touch on them in a little bit more detail shortly. But Andy Crawford, I think maybe Redknapp had something to do with this guy coming in. I think he highly rated him. But any memories of Andy Crawford?
Oh, definitely. He was a full-time starter in the game. He played. I think when he left Bournemouth, he went to Cardiff. He played 33 games. He was a right winger with 10 goals. So that's a goal every 3 games. That's not bad, is it?
No, not
a
all.
bad strike rate. And he was a top player. He's another guy like Kevin Daughtry. He'll turn players inside out, this guy, Andy Crawford. Top man. Yeah, great player.
Well, we'll touch on the other two shortly, but there's a couple more here. Now, one that stands out for me is Trevor Morgan. I've learned a bit about Trevor over the years. I think he had 2 spells at Bournemouth, if I remember rightly. But Howard Goddard and Dean Mooney.
Yep, got him. Howard Goddard, he was a centre forward. He played in the seasons before David Webb, but he's also included in the squad. He looks a bit of a rough diamond, doesn't he? He's very muscular. He'd stand up for himself, Howard Goddard, and he'd run all day. Great player. Centre forward. Watched him many times for Bournemouth. When Bournemouth were down in the dumps, he was a bright light. Howard Goddard. Dean Mooney. I can't remember the haircut like that. I remember he had all that hair cut off. He looks like he's out of the suite, doesn't he? And I say that in a nice way, Matt. I mean,
Yeah.
in a way, but
I can see the resemblance. Yeah.
Oh man, Dean Mooney, English guy, centre forward, 27 appearances, 10 goals, and he left to play in Sweden, and he went to Stockholm to play. But he was tall, he was good in the air. Dean Mooney scored a few in the air. He'd stand up for himself. He was fast. Another sort of gangly, lanky player, but he could put the ball away. Again, let's have a look. I mean, 27 appearances with 10 goals. That's not bad, is it?
Not a bad return, is it? On
No,
that amount of appearances.
That's right.
So we've got Jim, which we've touched on, but that's the playing squad there, Paul. That was the playing squad. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at a couple of more of the strikers in a bit more detail. But let's start off with a legend of the game, definitely an Arsenal legend, and that is Charlie George. Now, Webby, this is a quote that I got from a book. I can't remember which book it was, or it was a source I got this from, but it's saying, Charlie basically saying, Webby and Jim just ran me up and asked me if I'd fancy turning out for Bournemouth, so I did. The football might not have been up to much, but the fun certainly was. Now, I think he only made a couple of appearances in a Bournemouth shirt, didn't he, Charlie George? But what a legend to say, played for the club. I believe he owned a pub hotel in New Milton, and I think that's how he was close by. But I think he soon went back and played for Derby again, I think, after his 2 games for Bournemouth. But did you manage to catch him in a Bournemouth shirt, Paul?
Yeah, saw him play at Dean Court. Yeah, I can just remember him. He was on the left. He played on the left. I can remember him charging forward with the ball. They couldn't stop him. He was charging forward with the ball. He only played 2 times. He must have played perhaps 1 game at Dean Court and an away game. I would have seen him twice. I can distinctly remember. I was excited when he came. I thought, is he going to stay for the rest of the season? He was class. He was class. He was a level above, and we were lucky to have him in a Bournemouth shirt, mate. He's 74 now. He made 133 appearances for Arsenal with 31 goals, and he was in England under 23 and got 1 England cap in 1976. So he actually did play for England. Yeah,
that surprises me that he didn't have more England caps. But I think I was discussing with someone a little while ago about, I think it might have been Johnny Blair actually on one of our international shows we've done recently, one of our cherry picking specials, and we were saying that, was it because there was less games at the time, so players got less opportunities and less caps and things like that? That might have been a case for someone like Charlie George, but yeah, surprised he only ever had 1 international full cap. Very surprised, to be honest.
There was a sequence of players in the mid-70s that were in the same bracket, Matt. There was Tony Curry, was an absolutely brilliant midfielder for Sheffield United, and he went on to play. Can't remember who he played for. These names. There was Tony Curry and Matt Letizia. I mean, what would you give for one of Matt Letizia in the England squad today? He got 8 caps. He came on as sub 3 times,
Another player that when you look at the era he was involved in, you had other players as well, didn't you, that didn't get many England caps? Letizia, Robbie Fowler probably would have got more England caps if it wasn't for the likes of Shearer being in the side. Who else was there? Andy Cole, Les Ferdinand. There were so many strikers at that time that you could probably say, I'm only surprised they only got that amount of caps. Letizia, yeah, I mean, how he always offered something different, didn't he?
Oh,
It does make you wonder, doesn't it, how some of these great players didn't get more appearances for England.
well, there was Rodney Marsh, Stan
Yeah,
Bowles. You know, they're all in their own right. They were good players, mate, and they didn't get the games. I think managers of that time went for consistency. They didn't want to change the team too much. The minute, from my memory, I know we're going off the subject, so I'll make it brief, but just my memory of England in those days, they were very, let's pass the ball to the left and then we'll keep it and then we'll put it to the right again, and it was very robotic. You know, if you were a manager of Matt Le Tissier in an England squad, you'd say to him, look, Matt, I understand you've got the greatest skills. Have a free role. Do what you want to do. Be Matt Le Tissier. Go forward. Have a go. 49 penalties out of 50. Unbelievable. You've seen the goals. You've seen the goals.
Yeah.
Credit where it's due.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually met him in Southampton Mall. I know I'm going off the subject again. He was doing a book signing when I was over there, and I said to him, it must have been around that period of time. It must have been 88, 89, somewhere around then. And I said to him, Matt, I said, you should be playing for England. And he turned around and he said, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah. He knew that he wasn't getting the game time. I mean, what would you give for him today, honestly?
Yeah, it would make you wonder, wouldn't it? But let's get back to the promotion side then. No. It's always nice to include some other bits, Paul. Definitely. It was me that started the conversation up anyway by saying about Charlie here not getting that amount of caps. So it's always good to compare as well. But let's have a look at the start of that season. Let's just have a quick look at some of the fixtures and the results. So seemed quite late that season. It kicked off 29th of August, where we played Crewe at home, beat them 2-0. And then if you go through the fixtures here, we didn't have a defeat until the October, when we lost. Or was that us winning away?
Away or at Peterborough
and Aldershot, was that wins? Yes.
it was,
So when you look at it, there, it was a really strong start to the season.
very much, wasn't it?
Very strong start there to the season. Obviously, Tranmere away beat us. Looks like it 1-0. So yeah, until the last day of October, appears to be our first defeat. So a great start in the league. Must have been flying at that point. But let's have a little bit of this story, Paul, because you do remember something quite funny about Kenny and the old man with the stick.
I sure do, mate. This one, if this happened in today's game, this would be all over the back pages, all on the TV. And I can remember hearing about this. I was in the Roundhouse at the Lansdowne having a beer with my mates, and I got told this story, and I thought, it was in the Echo. I'm pretty sure it would have been recorded in the Echo. This is Kenny Allen, who played 152 appearances, as we say, 1978 to 83. And he was in goal at Tranmere Rovers. And the attendance there for that night was a Friday night. The attendance was 2,803. So that just shows you where we were at, doesn't it? And Bournemouth, bless their hearts, were winning 5-0. Can you believe that? Bournemouth winning at Tranmere 5-0 with 10 minutes to go. So Kenny Allen gets the ball, he takes the goal kick, or he's going to take the goal kick. And a pensioner jumped over the hoardings, the advertising hoardings, because they're only about 3 foot high in those days, got his walking stick, and as Kenny Allen bent over to take the goal kick, he hit him on the backside twice with his walking stick. He then, you can't believe it, can you? I mean, what would happen today? He then got arrested, and he was quoted as saying that he thought that Kenny Allen was taking too long to take a goal kick, and he was time wasting. And he got over the fence and whacked him up the backside because of those reasons. He didn't. The police interviewed him and let him off with a caution. I mean, he said he was wasting time, taking the mick out of Tranmere Rovers, and that's a true story. You can look at that. You'll see the details of that. I mean, as I say, if you can imagine that happening today, a pensioner jumping over the fence. And I wonder if he got banned. It didn't say whether he got banned or not, but he did get arrested. But crazy world in those days. Crazy.
Yeah, you wouldn't get away with it so easy in this day and age. But
Well, what would happen, Matt, if you got over the fence and, it Kepper with a walking stick?
get banned.
Yeah, of course, you should be too.
Well, if you hit somebody, I'm sure you'd get a bit more than that. But I mean, if you invaded the pitch, obviously you get a countrywide stadium ban, I think, or something like that. So, yeah, funny times. I mean, it's definitely something that I doubt would ever crop up again. But a funny story to share nevertheless on that one. It was good. Yeah.
Tranmere Rovers with 2,800 there on a Friday night.
Wow.
I bet it was raining as well.
Yeah, probably.
Crazy.
But let's have a just quick touch on before we look at some more results from that season. The League Cup run that year, which obviously back then was 2 legs and lasted literally 1 round because we lost to Fulham on both occasions. So we lost at home 1-0 and lost away 2-0. So the League Cup run that year wasn't very successful, but as we all know, the season as a whole was. Here's some more results from that year. So this is November, December, and January, and you can see there again strong period with no defeats there by the looks of it. Oh no, 3-0 away at Blackpool we were defeated, and 2-1 away at Torquay. So there's a few more draws there than wins for Bournemouth, but nevertheless a bit of a strong period there, Paul. And obviously that's kind of the difficult area, isn't it, December? Especially looks like there's a few games that might have been called off due to weather there, because if you look at the dates, the 5th of December, then it jumps to the 26th, and then the 28th, and then again 23rd of January. So there probably was some bad weather in and cold weather in at that time, but that's kind of the midpoint of the season. But let's touch on a bit of a hero from that season now. Tony Funnell, a score of 16 goals in 43 league games. I think that was actually his best total of his career, but a back injury unfortunately would end his professional career in the 82-83 season, leaving Bournemouth after 64 appearances and 22 goals. After Bournemouth, Tony went on to play for Poole Town, where he scored 127 goals in 307 appearances, and he was inducted into Poole Town's Hall of Fame in 2014. So Tony that year was, the leading goal scorer, I believe, with 16 goals that year. Obviously, he had some stiff competition in the side to lead the front line, but come from Brentford, I think, if I remember rightly, Tony Funnell, but great player.
Oh, very much. Cost £5,000.
Wow.
His transfer was £5,000, and I remember watching him a lot. And he'd run all day. He's not the biggest player, but again, you couldn't stop him. He's a goal scorer. Simple as that. He's a goal scorer. Great to see him play in a Bournemouth shirt. Loved every minute of watching him, mate. Top man for the club. Yeah. And look at what he did when he left. I mean, I didn't know that. 127 goals in 307 appearances. Yeah, that's a lot of goals, isn't it?
Yeah. I think he actually went back into like Sunday League football for a little while, and then signed for Poole Town. But I was actually at a Poole Town game. Might have been not last season before, and I think he was guest of honour. I was sat in the stand. It was a Tuesday night or midweek game. There was no Bournemouth game or anything on, and so I'm obviously not living far from Tattenham. I thought I'd pop down there, watch a game, and he was sat with the chairman behind me. Nice guy.
Yeah, top player for Bournemouth.
Yes, definitely. And shame that his career was ended by an injury, because I'm sure he would have scored a fair few more goals in a Bournemouth shirt as well.
Yeah.
But let's have a quick look at the FA Cup before we look back at the league then. So that year we played Reading at home, who we beat 1-0. And then we had a tie with Dorchester Town, which I thought was quite interesting. Away at Dorchester, we only drew 1-1 and then beat them in the replay at home 2-1 before losing to Oxford United at home 2-0. So that was our cup run that year in the FA Cup.
Yeah. Do you know what, Matt? I think I went to that Dorchester Town game
Yeah.
That was 1-1. I think I went there, and if my memory serves me right, again, it's 43 years ago. I think we were stood on the touchline. I think they had so many people from Bournemouth go to that game that they wanted to get people in to get the revenue. There would have been a fair few at that match travel from Bournemouth, and I'm pretty sure I went there. It was freezing cold. Oh, there you go, 12th of February, 12th of December. It was a freezing cold day, and I come away disappointed because we'd drawn. And obviously, I must have seen the replay, but I can't remember the replay. But I can remember, and I think we were like literally stood 3 foot, 4 foot from the actual touchline on the side there somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
To get people into that game.
Yeah. Yeah. Good memories. Good memories.
Because that's big money for them in those days, getting that sort of crowd, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure they would have loved the replay as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was quite interesting that we drew Dorchester. So February, March, packed out for games those 2 months. Obviously, I'm sure some of the games that were postponed and moved and that were put into these kind of months. But as you can see, it was kind of a bit of a dip there. We weren't picking up great results. There was the 5-1 win against York City, but then we were defeated by Bradford at home, Darlington away, Stockport away, Rochdale away. Went on a bit of a, wasn't a great run of results there, but was most of the damage done by then? Were we pretty much in that top? Because I think 4 went up that year, wasn't it? So were we pretty much in those sort of safe spaces, or was it still squeaky bum time from what you can remember?
From memory, I think we were always in the top 4, top 5, top 6. We weren't far away. But as I was saying to you before, the team of that season was Sheffield United. When I watched Bournemouth play Sheffield United at Dean Court that season, they were a lot better than Bournemouth. I know the result was 0-0 at Bournemouth, but they were the better team. They were the best team that came to Dean Court that I saw from my memory, Sheffield United. And you look at the names of those clubs. A lot of them aren't even in the Football League anymore, are they?
Some of them aren't. No. Yeah, some of them aren't. Some of them have been in the Premier League and now in the lower leagues again. Like your Blackpools and your Hull Cities, your Wigans, your Bradfords. All had spells in the Premier League. Sheffield United, obviously, the 0-0 draw away there is mentioned there. This is when obviously promotion was confirmed. Obviously, we had that draw with Hereford 1-1, obviously, which was televised. Which you were at that game, Paul. What can you remember about the celebrations and from that? Because obviously, promotion was confirmed. Webby had come in, done the job with not masses of budget, masses of money. Obviously, there was financial, still financial stuff in the background. But what was the celebrations around town like?
Well, I jumped over the barrier and ran on the pitch, but I didn't have a walking stick. I can tell you that much. But people just actually, the game, the referee blew the whistle and the game hadn't finished. There was a mini, I think from memory, there was a mini invasion, and then they were dragged back onto the side, and then within about another minute and a half, just he blew the whistle. Everybody charged onto the pitch, everybody, and the players just charged for the tunnel. They wanted to get off, which I don't blame them. But I think from memory, they came out and in the main stand up the top, and were waving. They definitely didn't do a lap, but they were up there waving to the fans. And as I told you, Holderness Road, and all the way through Kings Park going home was just everybody was ecstatic about what had happened, because Bournemouth needed that at this time. They've been through a lot of times there. I mean, I can remember one time prior to that, and it may have been 77, and it again another team that are not in the league anymore, Southport United. We had a bomb scare. I was in the stand, and they stopped the game, and everybody had to go onto the pitch from the stand. The whole crowd, literally, there only been about 3,500 there again. It was a sunny day, that one, and everybody had to go onto the field while they searched all the stands and the ground. There was a bomb scare. Someone rang in and said there was a bomb in the stadium. Distinctly remember that.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah, crazy. Everybody, we were actually told to go on the pitch. Yeah, and they never found anything. And eventually, when the game restarted, we all sat down and carried on. But can distinctly remember that one. That's a weird one too. But,
Yeah. It's amazing when you start talking about things and different things sort of pop back into memory, doesn't it? But after the promotion, though, it sort of started. Life in the third division, I don't think started so well. I think there was kind of pressures and there was always tensions between these two particular guys. Quite well documented sort of tensions. I mean, what can you remember exactly from between the chairman and the manager?
Yeah, I can remember going into shock mode when I'd heard that David Webb had left, because I thought, crikey, we just got it going. We just got things started again, and he's gone. I was very, very down about that. I think a lot of fans would have felt the same. Look, I think, as I said to you off air, I think that there were plans afoot that a syndicate wanted to take the club over. It's all rumours, isn't it? And I don't know. I guess you hear the truth. I think you heard a little bit more than me on that subject, Matt. But
yes, I'm just trying to find the quote here. Just trying
by
to find
Kevin Nash. Yeah.
The quote. No, this one come from a different source. I'm just literally trying to find it here.
That's all right. Yeah. It was a difficult time. A lot of fans were upset about that, about him going. I mean, Harold Walker had a history of trying to build the stand up the Brighton Beach end, which stood there for years.
Yeah, the famous Walker stand, wasn't it?
And then was taken down. Nothing ever happened. But yeah, he was.
So Webb's history of confrontation, false resignations, and links to other clubs. It was inevitable that something was going to give. So there was a power struggle, which obviously rarely ended with the chairman obviously leaving. So that obviously was the case. And basically the chairman stated that the board wasn't going to give a reason for why Webb had left. When Webb was asked, he then replied, "Ask the chairman." It's a very political clash of personalities. He's stubborn and so am I. Things have been brewing in the last few days. I'm very sad about it and feel sorry for the supporters. I felt my future was here at Bournemouth, but I will sit back, take a deep breath, see what happens. I don't give up easily. I'll get another job. And obviously then Jim Davidson then left the board. It's it seemed, I'm just trying to find the bit here which said about like there was a planned takeover. He disagreed with takeovers, I think, as well. Some planned takeover. So I just got that from a good book. Anyone that hasn't maybe read it before, Harry Redknapp's Dean Court Days by Michael Dunn. Great book. That was just what I managed to find in there. There's loads of stuff in there. Really good read, that one. Michael Dunn's done a few books Bournemouth about Bournemouth. He's actually obviously a Bournemouth fan. He's written for newspapers before. Good book. So if you haven't got it or haven't seen it, do check that one out. It's a good book. But that is quite. Sorry, Paul.
Sorry, Matt. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's true though, isn't it? I mean, a manager will rarely win over a chairman. The chairman is the man that makes the decisions, and obviously, with the way things were going, it looked inevitable that something was going to have to give, like it says in the book there.
Yeah. But you know what? That was great research by you, Matt, to drag that up, because it was a very clouded issue. No, I don't think anybody really knew. There were rumours going around everywhere. at that time, just from my memory of what actually did happen. And I'm still confused today what happened, but you've probably thrown more light on it than I even realised. And it makes you wonder, had history have gone the other way, had David Webb have stayed with Harry, you know, who knows what would have happened down the track there.
Yeah,
You know,
like you say, both strong personalities, both
oh,
knew the game inside out.
yeah,
Makes you wonder what kind of partnership, if they'd have been given another sort of 5 years, and what
oh,
would have materialised. But that's something we will obviously never know. But yeah, definitely must have been one hell of a partnership, them two, Redknapp and Webb.
I think so. I think Harry played a big part in it too. You know, we all love Harry. He's great. I spoke to Harry myself at La Lupa in Charminster, would you believe, when it was La Lupa. But
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Who knows what could have happened there? As we know, the next step was Don Megson that came in, and he was a short stay manager and got in the relegation fight. And there you go. I'll let you read it, Matt. Go for it.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I can. So yeah, Don Megson succeeded David Webb as manager of AFC Bournemouth in 1983. Megson took over the managerial position at Bournemouth in February following Webb's departure. He was there for a 7-month period as the head coach. He had previously managed Portland Timbers in the North American Soccer League before returning to England to take on his role with Bournemouth. Don Megson was sacked as manager of Bournemouth in late 1983 because the team was in the 3rd Division relegation places. He was replaced by a certain Harry Redknapp, who went on to become one of Bournemouth's most successful managers, as we well know. So Don Megson, I mean, the football, Paul, was the football not good? Was he not tactically right? I mean, what can you kind of remember? I know it's a long time.
I can remember. I mean, how do you follow David Webb? You know, it's a hard act to follow, isn't it?
Yes.
You feel for Don Megson with that, but the football just deteriorated. I think morale went down slowly. I don't know the results. I don't think it was anything brilliant if they're in the relegation zone, that's for sure. But my memory of Dean Court, and older viewers will remember, when you went into to watch Bournemouth in the stands, it was a wooden stand, and you'd get these cushions for 20p. I wonder where they went. They'd be a real collector's item, those cushions, and you'd sit on the cushions there. And when things went bad, I'll tell you what, a certain section of supporter would stand up, they'd pick the cushion up, and they'd throw it on the pitch. Quite often that would happen at various games. They just pick them up and fire them like frisbees onto the field. They'd try it, especially when the ref didn't send off an opposing player who should have gone, or, you know, that's what happened. In those days, they'd just throw the thing on the pitch. I think he had a hard act to follow, and I think if Bournemouth had carried on, they might have got relegated that season. And I think Harry came in, as we know. I think it was Harry, was it, next?
Yeah, Harry, yeah.
Harry came in, and, well, there you go. As you say, the rest is history, mate.
Yeah. Well, it's been great to reminisce and learn some stuff about this promotion season with you, Paul, and it's been great to do it. But just before we wrap up, just want to touch on something that happened the following season under Don Megson, I believe, and probably one of the world's greats, Ballon d'Or winner as well, I believe, if memory and research serves me right, pulled on a Cherry shirt, and that, of course, was George Best. Yeah, Paul, what was it like to watch such a magician play in a Bournemouth shirt?
Look, my memories of him, he was playing in America, and Bournemouth bought his contract. He wanted to get out of America and come back to England, or come back to Britain. Bournemouth bought him out, and I think they bought it for 5 games. And the average, I remember distinctly, the average attendance at that time was about 5,000 something. Every game he played, I saw him play twice for Bournemouth. Every game he played, because he didn't turn up for one of them, was 10,000 plus. But what can I say? Yeah. He was with Miss World, who was Mary Stavens, at
Yeah.
that time, and she was sat behind me, would you believe, in the main stand.
Oh, really?
She was sat probably a row or 2 rows behind me, because I kept looking round, and I'm thinking, I wonder if that's that Miss Wilkes, very attractive lady. And it turned out it was Mary Stavens, who was his present girlfriend, was there at Dean Court in the stand. What can I say? To me, a tribute to George Best. You look at the players today, they get one whack and they're down. He rode all of his challenges. He never went down. You can see it on TV everywhere. He's a top 5 world-class player, in the top 5 of all time for me. George Best really is right up there, mate. Yeah, great player. Memories of George Best. Yeah, I can't remember whether he'd scored. I don't remember seeing him score any goals, but they loved it. They loved it. A lot of screams and a lot of yells when he was running around the pitch, and very big atmosphere, mate. Great atmosphere. And I don't want to say this, I may be wrong. Maybe Malcolm might put me right on this, but I don't know. I sort of remember him coming out of the tunnel at Dean Court in the middle there, rolling the ball, and he nearly tripped over the ball. And I hate saying that, because we've all done it. I hate to say that, and I could well be wrong, because it was a long time ago. But top man, top player, died. Well, he gave up the game so young, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was 35, wasn't he, when he played for Bournemouth? And, it's great, because I remember when I first learnt that George Best had played for Bournemouth. I think probably my dad told me, and I thought, what, really?
Yeah.
And I remember he released an autobiography back, must have been 25 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. And I remember I asked for it for Christmas one year, and I got it, and all I did was flick through the book. I know it's terrible, but I flicked through the book and just got to the bit where he played for Bournemouth and just read those couple of pages
Brilliant.
first, and because I just wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And in his book, he had the picture that's there of him in the Bournemouth shirt, and the picture of Miss World in the stand, and
There you go, Mary Stavens.
yeah, and I did read the whole book as a whole eventually, but I just really wanted to read, and I was just amazed that you always hear about George Best, Man United, and I didn't realise, I thought he played for Man United for years and years and years, but obviously, reading that book as sort of like a teenager, you learn a lot about him, and an icon of the game. It's there is icons, isn't there? And he is definitely one of those icons. So to know that he played for Bournemouth, even though it's only 5 appearances, I'm not bothered. I'm still proud to say someone of George Best's caliber played for the Cherries.
Yeah, I saw him in his prime, Matt, very briefly.
Oh,
twice. Yeah, I saw him in his prime, 1969 at the Dell, with Lauren Charlton up front, and he was just incredible. I saw him twice up there, but great. One of my favourites. I mean, the guy, wow. What can you say? I also saw, very briefly, I know that we're running out of time and we'll call it quits shortly, but I also watched Ian Botham play on a Tuesday night at the... Yeah, I saw him on the left wing.
Yeah.
He did all right. He held his own. He was
There is
big,
a picture of him. I've got a picture of him somewhere. I think it's someone... He stood there waiting to come on, and there's someone stood next to him with the cards. Remember the substitute cards he's held up? And it says, I don't know what, but I don't think it's a Bournemouth related book. I think it's just a football book in general. And it says, Ian Botham waiting to come on to make his Scunthorpe debut at Bournemouth in 1983, was it, or something like that?
No, earlier.
Earlier, was it? Yeah.
I was actually there. It was a Tuesday night, a miserable night under the lights, and I saw him. They were playing in a yellow strip. Whoever it is, Scunthorpe.
Yes.
Yellow strip. Yeah, I saw him. Yeah, did all right. Yeah.
Yeah. Multitasking sportsman there, Ian Botham.
I don't think he could run these days, Matty, but
yeah, but legend of cricket, and it's great, isn't it? It's great what football brings up. It's great what kind of memories it brings up, and when you suggested covering this season and this era of the club. I always love to learn about different eras and, hear what people like yourself who were actually there I've got to say it's great to research it. I mean, like I say, the books, you know, that I've looked at for some research is Cherries the First 100 Years by Kevin.
I have that book. I actually have
great
that
book.
Yeah,
Great book. So I've read the parts of that, obviously, for David Webb, and obviously the one I mentioned earlier, the Harry Redknapp, Dean Court, Dave, Michael Dunn. Yeah, 2 great books there. I mean, if you haven't got them, check them out, people. But Paul, it's been fantastic to spend this time with you, going over this season, hearing your memories, learning more as well about that era. It's been fantastic, and like you say, it's an era that's not been covered much, so it was pleasing to cover with you.
And you know what, Matt? The great thing is, I was actually there.
Yes.
You know, and I'm still walking around. You know what I mean? I was actually there at these games for the whole season, and that's why I wanted to do this for you. You know, to cover that thing. Thanks for the opportunity, Maddie. Lovely.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate the suggestion, Paul. And it's been, like I say, it's been great to research it, and it's been great to do this show with you. So I'm sure we'll see you on the channel again very soon. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all your support that you've given us over the last sort of several months with coming on and doing a couple of shows with us. And I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Lovely. Thanks for the opportunity, Matt. Have a good day. Yeah.
No worries. And you, and to everybody else, until the next time, up the cherries.
Up the cherries, Maddie. Yeah. See you, mate.
I should be like you, Mel.
Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.